Good afternoon, good evening, everyone out there. Hey, Ronnie, how are you?
Good evening, Yasheka. How are we doing? How are we doing?
I'm doing well. I am checking to make sure that we are live because we are streaming on different platforms in different groups today. And so I took a second to see if we are live, and we are. So I'm going to introduce myself. I am Coach Yasheka, Ronnie and Yasheka's dating discussions. And today is what, Thursday? Yes, discussion Thursdays. Yeah, discussion Thursdays. So, oh God, this is a good one. This is a good one, Ronnie. And I think you and I talked about this a little bit and explored it. And, me and my long-windedness. Um, I talked a little bit about this yesterday, and let me go ahead and bring up the comments and the chats to make sure that I'm looking at everybody as if someone decided that they want to comment. So in the title, I have understanding a man's love language. All right. So for those of you who are out there who are watching, make sure that you grant StreamYard access to you. So if you leave a comment or make a post, we'll know it's you and we can reply. And if you are catching us live, be sure to leave a comment so we can know you here. And if you're catching this on a replay, make sure to hashtag replay so that we can know that you stopped by. And so today on this fine Thursday, we are talking about understanding a man's love language. And this is going to be like a little continuation from my discussion yesterday when I talked about the five love languages by Dr. Chapman and define each one of them and kind of like summed up each one, right? Talked about just the different love languages and how understanding your love language will help your partner better understand you. They can better love on you. They can better understand how you can mesh together with your partner. And one of the things that I talked about yesterday on my live, and what is suggested by Dr. Chapman, is that you definitely don't want a partner who has the same love language as yourself, right? And I think that is something that people don't quite get, because if you are a person who your love language is giving gifts, and I gave this example yesterday. If your love language is giving gifts and my love language is giving gifts, and we both show up on a holiday, let's just say our anniversary, and you give me a gift and I give you a gift, and we express our love languages that way, then it's one of those things where if I don't quite understand the reasoning behind that particular gift, you might think it's sentimental. I might think it's sentimental, but then it might become, well, why did he give me this gift? Or why did she give me that gift? However, if your love language is gift giving and mine's are, let's just say, acts of service, then you'll appreciate the gift and I'll appreciate you going in there and, I don't know, doing the household cleaning for me, right? So you definitely want someone who has a different or an opposite love language than you do. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about understanding a man's love language from a male's perspective, because I think that we as women sometimes we get it a little confused about what a man's love language is, because we all have this misconception that men's love language is physical, right? I think most women believe that men's love language is physical. And so, yeah, so I want you to enlighten us and educate us about men and their love languages and what does it mean for them.
Good evening, everybody. And thank you for the intro, Yasheka. Yes. Ladies, I'm going to cover this in a space that you will find that is different as men and women are. There are also, some similarities. However, make no mistake about it. Men, when we speak in the world of love language, this is not a phrase commonly used by men. You know, if I'm going to ask my good buddy, hey, Greg, listen, what are you doing tonight? Listen, I'm going to go out with Joan, and I really want to get to know her and find out what her love language is. That is not the kind of conversations men have amongst themselves. It's just as simple as getting to know one another. And really, if you break the love language down, it really is just another form of expression and communication.
Mhm.
So You may not call these individually as you listen to this man on the date, but you can pretty much pinpoint what his love language is without specifically calling it a love language. And see, this is where, again, when we're talking about dating, as Yasheka eloquently points out, you want to get to the love, so you get to love making. Well, all of that, a part of that, there's a process in that. And so part of that process is how he communicates, how he lets you know what he's looking for in a woman. Once you find out what that is, if and so you qualify, well, then, okay, how does he want her to communicate to him? And if you take the time and carefully craft your questions, you can there listen to find out what his love language is. Now, here's the thing. There be some men who will automatically know what you're talking about. Hey, so are you familiar with the book, Gary? No. Chances are most men won't.
Mm-hmm.
Others do. But let's just say he doesn't. And now you're on this fact-finding mission because this is important to you. Well, of course, in the world of communication and the process of dating, you want to make sure that you make that known. But all is not lost if he's not familiar with it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So before I go any further, let's review what the 5 love languages are. Number 1 is words of affirmation. Number 2, quality time. Number 3, receiving gifts. Number 4, acts of service. And number 5, physical touch. Now, Yasheka also pointed out earlier that to listen to most women, or some women, that most men, their love language is physical touch. But make no mistake about it, chances are there are those men who will tell you physical touch is important for you. But if I were to ask you, Yasheka, what do you think the number 1 love language is for men? Whether they call it a love language or not. What do you think that is?
I would say more of the affirmation area. You know what I mean? They want to be told good things. They want you to believe in them, to inspire them, to encourage them, to tell them that, they can go to the moon. That's what I think.
Yes.
Like that.
Okay. Okay. Ladies, have you ever heard a man say they want a woman that speaks life into them? Well, words of affirmation. On another level, you hear someone say that like that, they enjoy having the ego stroke. Words of affirmation. They want a woman who is encouraging, who makes them feel like they're appreciated. Words of affirmation. If you really take the time to listen to men as they speak, they'll tell you all you need to know if you're trying to find out what their love language is. If it's, let's just say, we're looking at a quality of time, or quality time. Well, what does it look for him? If he talks in the space of you doing something with him, especially if it's something that you're not crazy about. Let's just say, for instance, camping. Now, you may not be that crazy about camping, but it's important to him. And for you to spend that time with him in that space that he loves, that to him, that's quality time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you may want him to go to the opera, and he's not a fan of the opera.
Yeah.
That's quality time for you.
Yeah.
Well, what about, and we all know that the obvious things, walking on the beach hand in hand, drinking pina colada out of 2 different straws and one glass. I mean, I could give you all the mushy romantic, Lady and the Tramp analogies that will give you an idea that you're spending quality time. But something as simple as washing dishes together or preparing a meal, that's quality time. And also intimate time.
Yeah.
Now, is there something you feel that you'd like to add to this, Yasheka?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it has to definitely be something that they want. And what I've discovered when it comes to the QT time or QT, I think women, we're under the impression that it has to be a dialogue if we're spending quality time together, right? And that's not always the case, okay? Because they're okay with what I've gathered from my little area. Um, Men are okay with spending quality time with us, right? It has to be number one, something that they enjoy doing. Like we can't drag them to the mall, that's for sure. If we go to the mall with them, it got to be one store in and out. Say, get exactly what you came there for, and then you come on out. Now, if you go to another store, it got to be like a cookie store, a place where he can grab him a cookie or something. But you ain't about to take him no different 4 or 5 different stores and think he gonna go along with you. But when I say quality time, I mean like, okay, we're gonna go and watch a game on TV. They want us there in their space, but that doesn't mean they want us there gibbering. They don't want us there, run off at the mouth. They want us just there. They want to know that we're there. We're somewhere around. You understand what I'm saying? So I think the quality time definitely means something different than us, because for us, quality times means a little bit more, for most women, it means a little bit more intimacy, meaning that, if we're going to do quality time, and I'm not saying some men don't want this, but I think when women think of quality time, we think of let's snuggle on the couch and just be one with each other, and let's talk in between and show a little physical touch and things like that. Men, they're a little bit more simplistic than that. You know what I'm saying? They don't need all that. They just, I know you in the house, I know you in the kitchen, go in there and get me them wings, and I know you somewhere around here. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what it is for them. But if I
Mm-hmm.
was to put it in order, I think that I believe that physical touch is probably for a man, probably number 3. Actually, I think affirmation is number 1, and then acts of service will probably be number 2, and then physical touch will be number 3. Then quality time, and then gifts being the last one for men. If I was to put them in order, that would be my order.
Okay, okay. And see, here's the thing. When I talk about dating should be fun, this is really part of it. Listen, ladies, what we're talking about is a fact finding mission.
Hmm.
And again, men for their go to love languages is the first thing from their mind. But I can assure you that as they communicate to you, you can pretty much get what you need and determining what that is for him by just taking the time to listen to him and asking. Bet you also didn't know that quality time could also mean time that you're not with him. It could be time where this fellow's watching the game at the bar. See, again, the way men, and knowing that he knows that you're giving him his space, is quality for him. And I can assure you the right man is going to make sure that he spends that quality time that you deem as quality time once you've allowed him his space. Because we're talking about reciprocity. We want to make sure that you're meeting his needs, he's meeting your needs. Acts of service. Well, for him, it could be something as simple as, hmm, let's go into the archives. It could be washing the car with him.
Wouldn't that be quality time though?
Well, it could be. But see, here's the thing. If you look at how men look at things, like for women, it's clothing, it's makeup, it's shoes. For men, it's their machines,
Okay.
their motorcycle, and or their cars, and the caring of that. And how do men care of that? Now, some men will prefer to have someone detail it, but other men, based on the type of car it is and the pride they have in it, they are going to wash it and detail it themselves because no one handles their machinery like that.
Hmm.
So now, what if you, as an act of service, were to come out there and wash the car with him in a teeny tiny top, Daisy Duke shorts, and you're washing the car? What do you think that would do with him
I
or
think,
to him?
well, I think that, okay, so all right, let me visualize this, Ronnie. For most men,
Mm-hmm.
they would be okay with it. But I think that it will ignite other things. Like, in other words, it will be like, oh my gosh, she came out here to help me with my car. Okay, I'm about to give it to her. You know what I mean? In other words, it's almost like it's like a precursor. Like, in other words, it stimulates them more so because
Okay.
it is an act of service. But when you couple it with me coming out there with, half dress and all that, that's something totally different. Now, if I come out there with a moo on or something, then he may look at it and say, okay, you know what? She really cares about me. She really loves me. She came out here to help me with my car. And that's just what it is, right? It's an act of service, right? She's down for me. But if I couple that with me coming out there half dressed, oh, that's a whole different situation right there. Matter of fact, we probably just stop washing the car altogether. You know what I'm saying? We'll come back to this later.
That the car will get washed and needs will be met. Okay,
Absolutely.
on both ends.
Yeah.
I believe that. I mean, again, here's the thing. Needs they can intersect. You know, again, when we're talking about a love language for a man, and even so for women, it doesn't have to be this one number three, and that's it. No, again, Yasheka, you put things in what you felt was in order and how a man may decipher this. Well, it's the same thing for a woman. And so, could you meet physical touch along with words of affirmation?
Absolutely.
Physical, right? Exactly. So here we're talking about let's really get raw here. So let's say now you're into the love making
Mm-hmm.
and you're in the throes of passion, and then you're speaking words of affirmation to him.
Mm-hmm.
Two love languages being met at the same time. So I never want to come across as being so clinical or just very at the other end of being Neanderthal about it. But again, what we're talking about is taking the time to communicate, to listen, to see how he expresses himself to you and what he's looking for in terms of having his needs met. And of course, ladies, it's also during this time you want to make sure that you communicate to him your love language and how you go about having your needs met as well. Because, it's one thing again to just point it out, but then what does that look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
He can come up with his own version of in meeting that love language need, but it may be counter to what you're looking for. So again, this is a great time to really to listen to each other and to really dive deep. Again, because what we're talking about, especially in the world of dating and in relationship, we're talking growth. And if it's not growing, then it's dying.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're talking about is getting to know each other on another level, which all of this you can just, chalk up to be as very, intimacy. Because again, if you don't take the quality time, which is something you're both looking for, if you're going out to dinner or you're going out to picnic or heck, hell, a walk in the park,
Mm-hmm.
take this time to just ask the questions, you know, other than the, what's your favorite color and what's your sign?
Right.
These are those kinds of questions. So if, and again, gentlemen, you may be into the love languages and she doesn't have the slightest idea of what that is. Well, see, then this is something for you to take the time to listen to her. And this is the treasure hunt for you to find out what she's about. Yasheka, do you have any words?
I do. Actually wanted to get back to something you said earlier about the quality time. Because how my brain is set up. You mentioned about men, sometimes quality time doesn't have to be time spent together. Sometimes it can be time spent apart. But my question to you though is that doesn't that go against the definition of quality time? If it's
That's it.
Well, by definition of what Dr. Chapman says quality time is, it kind of does, because then it goes into maybe if there was a sixth love language of needing your own space, or it can go into um I don't know, to fall into another category of, I don't know where it would go, but it would just almost be like, because if we're because the way I see it, when it comes to any of the love languages, whether they're independent or dependent of one another, it's the two people reciprocating and giving and giving. It's a give and take, right? So if we're doing things together or for the other one, then it has to be both people together to make it work, right? So in other words, if my love language is gifts, gift giving, it's not going to benefit you if I go out and buy everybody else gifts but you. If your love language is words of affirmation, it's not going to help you if I tell everybody else that they're doing a good job and I never tell you. You see what I'm saying? Quality time
Mm-hmm.
is null and void if you spend it with everybody else but me. You understand what I'm saying? If you gonna spend it with your side chick and you ain't spending it with me, it don't mean nothing to me. You know.
Okay, now that you bring side chick in it, well, that's not that's not where I was trying to go with that.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
let's just say, in the event of you're away on a business trip
Uh-huh.
and he's out of state, you're FaceTiming, you're calling, you're in between sessions of the conference that you're at or he's at. And during that time, if it's just 5 minutes, you're saying, hey, I'd love to be there, but I want to let you know I'm thinking of you and I can't wait to see you. Or he saw a post that you put up on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
giving you words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
He's sharing with you his thoughts, which for some women is receiving a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And then his presence, just being on the phone, can be considered quality time.
Right. Right.
But although you're not there,
Right.
but now I know what you're saying in terms of time with the fellas.
Right.
And in that space, I don't want to, how can I communicate this? It's not that he's going to be absent the whole time. But again, his time is valuable to him, just like his time with you is valuable to you. So if you know that he wanted to watch this game with the fellas, but yet you've already had plans for quality time with him. Well, could there be a situation where both needs can be met?
Mm-hmm.
He can enjoy his time with his fellas, and then afterwards, he spends his time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a possibility? Now, maybe for some women, it may not be. For some men, it may not be. Again, I don't believe it's more so a hard and fast rule than just knowing that in this space, when we're talking about quality, we really are clear on what that means. Now, I get it. I mean, with all intents and purposes, you want to make sure that if quality time to you means, no, I need your ass here in this house or wherever we plan to be, then that is what it is. If that is what quality time means for you, then it's important for him to address those needs.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, if it's time with you, but he also has time that he'd like to spend. Again, some people are more needy with their time than others. It doesn't make them codependent. It doesn't make them a bad person. Again, this is why the communication is important and saying it's not more so what it is and how we address what it is.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean for you? What did that mean for her?
Right.
Did I cover that in some form, or you're still having a difference of opinion, Yasheka?
No, no, absolutely. I just wanted to make sure that I understood that you were just saying that quality time is quality time, but understand that he or she may also need their personal time as well. I think you were just saying that in addition to that, just remember that that person also need their personal quality time as well. So don't be hogging all their time. I think that's what you're saying.
Exactly. You know, I truly believe that in the space and time of a relationship, we definitely enjoy our time to ourselves as well.
Yeah.
If it's just a time to recharge, now we're calling it self love, whatever that may look like.
Yeah.
That's quality time so that he or she can still be the best person for you
Hmm.
in the space for the time that you both share together. You're refreshed, he's refreshed, and then you get to the love and then the love making.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's why a lot of people, I won't say a lot, but many people that I speak with, I guess in this age group,
Hmm.
men, I asked, matter of fact, I asked a friend of mine who recently got married, how does that look? I said, because she's in her 40s and her husband is in their 40s. They got married about a month ago. And she owns her own house, he owns his own house, and they live about an hour apart. And so before that, they were commuting back and forth, but it was like 99% of him commuting to see her than her seeing him. And so I told her, I said, I need to see how this plays out. So if I ever get to this part, or when I get to this part, I'll know how it works, because I'm curious to know, like, what do people do in this part of life now, because everyone has their own little space, because we're used to doing things in our own little space, and having our personal time, and you having a whole closet to yourself and a whole bed. And then when you come together and up under one roof, what does that look like? Does that look like you sell everything and start all over, buy a bigger house? Or what do you do? Like, I literally told her, I want to see what this looks like. And so her comment to me was that they're doing it a little bit at a time. They're not going to just do it all at one time, do a changeover at one time. They're doing it a little bit at a time. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to see, because I need to have front row seats to this. And then I thought about, for myself, because I know that I need, like you said about my own personal time, I know that I need my own personal time. Believe it or not, I'm a talker, but there is a part of me where when I'm talking to somebody, I'm a talker, right? But otherwise, I go like a long time where I don't say anything to anybody. Like, I don't even answer the call, or I won't, talk on the phone or nothing, because I literally have to be in my own head, in my own space, right? And so I wonder what that looks like if I was to be in the same household with somebody. How would I be different? You know what I mean? When it comes to personal time, and or will I all of a sudden now need certain things? Or because, like, I said this yesterday on my live, I've taken the 5 love languages assessment many a times, and each time that I've taken it, personal touch, or a touch is always my number one, right? I always, like, that's always the top of my thing, is that. And I said yesterday, I won't confirm or deny whether or not I believe it's sex, but for me, touch is always my number one, right? And so I said, I wonder if I was to be in a steady person in the house with me, will that be heightened? In other words, now that it's there, was something that I want all the time. Like, in other words, want to have my arm on that person, or throw a leg on them if we're laying in the bed, or we're watching TV and I got to, throw my hand on them, or what I'm saying? Like, I wonder, because I've been in a situation where, being single, well, I don't have anybody in the household with me. I've done without it, but I wonder, would that part of me become reignited again? You know what I mean? So I often wonder that about myself.
Well, as they always say, there's only one way to find out. That's
Yeah,
but I understand what you mean. Again,
yeah,
when people are coming from a single space, and of course, depending on the reason of being back in the single space, the lessons you may have gotten from that experience, and how you're going to translate that as you move forward back into a space with an intimate uh, setting with someone else, it can be scary. And in most cases it is. To even to the point where there's people who will just have nothing more to do with a relationship because they've in their mind wean themselves off of what they hold so dear in
Yeah.
the relationship because they're fear of that rejection again.
Yeah.
And again, I in that space, I'm always one to encourage coaching or therapy in that. There is something very soothing, therapeutic in the words of affirmation, the tone of those affirmations. There's very something therapeutic and soothing. I would dare say spiritual in the world of physical touch.
Hmm.
Physical touch is by far very important to me. Now, I really haven't sat down, surprisingly enough, and really numerically decided which is first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. But I do know physical touch is up there. It's very important to me.
Yeah.
I'm one of those men who definitely, and men, I'm sure you can relate. You see the TikTok videos and the Facebook videos of the ladies, washing dishes or she's doing whatever, and she's,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, girls. You know what I'm saying. The physical touch is there. That's just what that is. And I get it. Just in terms of you're watching TV, having your head on their shoulders. There's so many ways men really count on their women to provide that with them, even for those who don't that claim to be not as crazy about it. You'd be surprised. Again, you get the right woman, he's all about physical touch.
Yeah.
So it's a journey, and I believe it's a fun journey as we go into the space and deciphering. And again, this doesn't have to take 6 months or a year. This is just something you can find out over dinner, dessert, coffee, or just a walk in the park.
Hmm.
If you take the time to really listen. And once you memorize what those are and once you know what they are for you, then finding who they are from that person you're hoping to build a future with should really be a piece of cake.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna say this one more note before we go. I've I'm in different, Facebook groups and things like that. And I think and I think this is what really made me decide to revisit the five love languages, because I hear different situations of stories where people are questioning certain things about their relationship because she wanted this way, he does it this way, right? Because that person has a specific love language compared to that person. And one situation, not to give away too much of it, it was simply um, the guy wanted to visit his child as well as the girlfriend, and they both lived in the same area, which was like an hour from where he lived. And he split the time between her and the daughter. And the girlfriend had a problem with that, right? And so I'm listening. And so apparently her love language was quality time. Whereas that he saw it as I'm doing the right thing by my child as well as my significant other to split my time. And so I'm thinking to myself, if that was something that was established maybe before, that this is your love language, or let him know the importance of quality time to you, a lot of this could have been avoided. Now, granted, not to go into a whole different topic about it, because I'm not going to even talk about my opinion about forcing him to choose. I'm not even going to talk about that. However, just the part of understanding what your love language is, and that way he can understand how you feel a connection to him when it comes to quality time, if that's how you feel like you feel to be loved. You know what I mean? So I just thought that it was something that needed to be had early on as far as that conversation. And I
I
think
agree.
a lot of it can be avoided. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree. I agree. I often hear when I ask a woman, well, what are you looking for in a man? What is it that you really are? Describe him. And they'll use words that, believe it or not, they think are not. They don't believe that they're vague, but they really are. I want a Ronnie, I want a man who's supportive. And I go, really? Okay. So what does he have to do to make you feel supported? And
Mhm.
you'd be surprised of how many women stumble with that. I want a man who's loving. Really? Okay. Well, and again, everyone else is like, well, that's obvious. Duh. Of course you want a man that's loving. Okay. Well, then, no, it's not that obvious. What does he have to do? What is it that he has to say that makes you feel loved?
Mhm.
You know, anyone we could talk about have a sense of humor, but everyone had different sense of humor. Some will think Dave Chappelle is funny, others think Kevin Howard is funny, others think Bernie Mac is funny. Everybody has a different, you know, a different comedian they like or dislike, or some people are into jokes, more practical, was it pranks or whatever it is. Again, you really want to get into communicating what it looks like, what has to happen for you to feel this feeling that you're looking for from this person. So
Mhm.
I get it, Yashika. I really truly understand that you'd be surprised as to how many people don't have these very in-depth conversations in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just know that whoever wherever these dating streets take me, they will and most men will say when I have this conversation about love languages or what I feel like I need in my life to my love language, for lack of a better word, since we're talking about it, most men's minds go to that. I am a toucher. I'm that person that, if he's sitting beside me, I have to put a part of my body on him, whether it's a hand, an arm, a foot, a toe, a pinky, something, right? I have to. That's just who I am. And so when I talk to people and I tell them that I am that I have to have physical touch, they automatically go to that spot. You know what I mean? Well, she likes to do this, Like I said, I won't confirm or deny that part, but I have to go into deep detail because I'm very comfortable with who I am all around. But I have to go into deep detail about what that means. I'm not no whip bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's be clear there. You know what I mean? I mean that those touches that's just important. They're not always just as Dr. Chapman talks about in his book. It's just not about that portion of it. It's just not about in the bedroom. Physical touch is all around. It could be that public display of affection, or that that hug, or that kiss on the cheek, or that handheld, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's different things. And so people need to understand that when it comes to your partner, at what level is he or she talking about when they say that they have to have this or they have to have that or they need this or they need that. It's just not the surface. It's in depth. You know what I mean? It's very much in depth. And one of the examples I gave yesterday, even when I was talking about what was the acts of service, it's like it's the small things and then it's the big things. Okay, like if you're my guy and you call me, and I talked about this yesterday, and I say, hey hon, I'm going to stop at the burger joint and pick up some burgers, do you want something to eat? You tell me, yeah. If me and you have been dating, I should know what you like and don't like on your sandwich already. You understand what I'm saying? So if you don't like onions, I should know not to bring you home a sandwich with onions on it. Or if you lactose intolerance, I know not to put cheese on your burger. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the things about really paying attention. So if your partner is a person who is, if that's their love language, you have to pay attention to the big things and the little small things. You understand what I'm saying? Because some people just look at the big things, I mean, the bigger picture, and say, well, I do this for him, I do this for them. Well, no, it's those little things that matters as well, not just those big things. The little things matters too. No, I just want to.
Yes, absolutely. No, no. And it's always those little things. You see the story about the the man is going out to go get something, and he asks her if she wants anything. She says no, and he comes back
Right.
with nothing, as she has said, and then she feels as though he doesn't love her because she should know her. And it kills me because I think any man over a certain age have witnessed that at some point or the other. It's just we're going, wait a minute, you literally said, and again, see, these are those things that again, I said, ladies, I know you all think you speak on the same accord, but understand to men. And now it's a running joke because if you see it enough times, you'll see men, yep, and this is why, if for anything, they don't even ask. They just bring it because they don't want her taking off of his plate of what he got to, but that's going to happen anyhow. So again, it's these, as you said, Yasheka, it's these small things that, again, you know, I know in the beginning they seem pretty cute and call them darling, and then at the other times it just seems annoying. But listen, it's all about communicating. It's all about that, and even that can be interpreted as a form of intimacy, of just, you know, her eating off your plate or you taking the French fries from her. So yes, you are 100% correct. It's the small things. It really is the small things.
You know what, you said that, and I can't help but to close it out with something that happened to me this past week. Honest to God, true story, same thing. I went to this really place that I've been going to for almost 20 years in Williamsburg. And they have these really good because I'm no longer vegan. So I hadn't been to this corned beef place in years, right? And so anyway, I went with a friend of mine because we were going to the outlets. It was a guy friend. And when we were getting ready to leave, he decided that he wanted to buy his son and his grandmother a dessert. So he bought one of them a strawberry cheesecake, and he bought the other one the carrot cake with the white icing on it. So before he went to the counter to buy it, he says, "Hey, do you want anything?" I was like, "No." I was like, "No." He said, "You sure?" I was like, "No." Now, mind you, when we walked in there, they had these big old pieces of cheesecake, you know, and the doggone carrot cake and the chocolate. I mean, it had all these beautiful cakes. Now, I've been going to this place for 20 some years. I know what their desserts taste like, right? And every time I'm in the area, I always make it a point. And of course, like I said, since I've been vegan, I haven't had years. Right? So anyway, when we got ready to leave, he goes to get the desserts. So I said, "So did you get you a dessert?" He said, "No, I got one from my mother, my grandmother, and my son." I said, "So you ain't get you nothing?" He was like, "No, I got it from my son and my mother." I said, "So you ain't get you none of it?" Because what I wanted was for him to get him a piece so I can get a bite of it.
He messed up on the code. He should know. He should know. That brother.
He was like, "No." He said, "I asked you if you wanted something." I said, "Well,
He should know.
I didn't want the whole thing. I just wanted to taste some of yours."
We should know. We should know. We should know.
First thought, I was like, yes. I was like, "So you ain't get yourself nothing?" I was like, "You ain't get nothing." That was funny to me. As soon as you said that, I was like, we do that all the time.
Every man has experienced that at least twice. We know. We know. That's just no getting around.
I'm gonna die. Be like, "No, I'm trying to watch my weight," and then I'm like, "You ain't get nothing," because let me tell you, if he had got anything, I don't care what it was, cheesecake, carrot cake, it could have been chocolate cake.
Got it.
Chocolate lover, I still would have got a piece of it. You know what I mean? It was just the fact that I wanted something. I wanted whatever it was.
We know. We as men learn. We learn the hard way. We learn the hard way. We really do. We really do.
Yes. Okay, so this has been a good one as always, Ronnie. The 5 love languages is always an interesting topic to discuss. And I don't know, are you familiar with any of Dr. Chapman's other novels? Because I know he also did the 5 apologies, and that's a really good one too. Matter of fact,
that is a good one. You know, I am familiar with those other works. This is the one that I get the most requests to talk about.
Yeah.
Funny enough, and I do recommend her other bodies of work, and I strongly advise anyone. See, there you go. Yeah. Anyone that has never read his work, read it. Now, of course, now we're not being paid, or nor is there any sponsorship concerning this. We just believe that it is something that Yasheka and I really looking forward to seeing more people grow in this space, in the dating space. Mm-hmm. So, by all means, her recommendation, my recommendation.
And
pick
one
up.
that I would suggest people to also read, especially if they want to get to the next level in dating, is Things That I Wish I've Known Before I Got Married. It's something along those terms, but it's
Yeah.
also by Dr. Chapman. And I mean, it literally talks about things that you should know before you get married so that you don't have to be apologizing. And it's like those little secrets that you should know that we don't talk about, openly before we get married. You know what I mean? Like, there's no support group before you get married. You know what I mean? And I think that that book really gives some insight and helps you prior to walking down the aisle. So for those people who are out there dating and they want to get to the next level and they one day will, I think it's an excellent book to read prior to doing any of that, right? Get just a better understanding of relationships and life and living together and just being a couple, because this you go into a lot of situations that it takes work, being together, being up under one roof, understanding another person. It takes a lot of work, that a lot of people don't want to go through that. But so that's a good book. But anyway, this has been fun as always. And so yeah, as we wrap up this Thursday, for like I said before, if you've been following us from the beginning for the last 45 minutes, if you are catching us live, make sure you comment to let us know that you have been here. And if you catch us on a replay, make sure it's a hashtag replay. You can check Ronnie and I out on Facebook if you're looking at this through any other type of stream at Ronnie and Yasheka's Dating Discussion. And you can also check us out on YouTube at Ronnie and Yasheka's Dating Discussion. You can also, in the comments, I have our website. If you want to book a consult with he or I, you can do so and drop us a question. Or if you want to appear on Talks with Ronnie Men Mondays or Women Wednesdays with myself, drop us a chat or a question or request at RonnieandYasheka@gmail.com. And yeah, and I think that that's about it. Also, our Cash App information is in the comments. If you want to buy us a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, we greatly appreciate it. So yeah. So Ronnie, do you have anything?
No, I just want to, again, to continue to thank you for the support of Ronnie and Sugar Dating Discussions. Also, Men Talk Mondays and the Women Talk Wednesdays. Again, we thank you for that. We have a Patreon page coming up soon for those of you who want to continue to show support in that space. We're going to have some exclusive content and a lot of great things coming on that as well. So get ready for the launch of that. And again, Yasheka, you're looking incredible, and I thank you for the time to share with you concerning what we feel is tools and resources for couples moving forward from the love to the love making, as you say.
Absolutely. Okay, Ronnie, let's smile for 5 seconds. I know we still live, but just to make it comical, let's smile for 5 seconds so we can do our YouTube pick. Look in the camera. All right, Ronnie, this has been fun. I will see you on the next live. All right. Take care
All
and
right.
signing out. Bye. Have a good night.
Have a good one, everyone. Take care, everybody.